Two guys are sentenced to death. They get up on the scaffold, the priest does the last rites, the prison governor does his little speech. Then he turns to the two guys and says, "You can have one last request each, what will it be?" He asks the first guy. "Well, I love James Blunt. Could I hear that lovely song, You're Beautiful, one last time?" "No problem," says the governor. "What about you?" he asks the other prisoner. "Can I go first?" ... There are these three girls, and their boyfriends all have the same name. So in order to keep them from getting confused, they decided to give their boyfriends nicknames. So they asked the first girl what she called her boyfriend. And she says, "I call my man 7-Up." They ask her, "Why do you call your man that?" She says, "Because he's 7 inches long and is always up." They ask the second girl what she calls her man. She says, "I call my man Mountain Dew." They ask, "Why do you call your man that?" She says, "Because he likes to mount me and to do me." They ask the third girl the same thing, and she says, "I like to call my man Johnny Walker." They look at her puzzled and say, "Why do you call your man that?" "Johnny Walker is a hard liquor." She says, "Exactly. Irende." The only way to pull off a Sunday afternoon quickie with their 8-year-old son in the apartment was to send him out on the balcony with a popsicle and tell him to report on all the neighborhood activity. "There's a car being towed from the parking lot," he shouted. He began his commentary as his parents put their plan into operation. "An ambulance just drove by." "Looks like the Andersons have company," he called out. "Matt's riding a new bike." "Looks like the Sanders are moving." "Jason is on his skateboard." After a few moments, he announced, "The Coopers are having love." Startled, his mother and dad shot up in bed. Dad cautiously called out, "How do you know they're having love?" "Jimmy Cooper is standing on his balcony with a popsicle." 3 dots. Last night, a woman woke up around 2 a.m. and noticed her husband wasn't in bed. It was their 20th wedding anniversary, so she figured he might be downstairs planning a sweet surprise. She tiptoed down in her robe, heart full of love. But instead of balloons or roses, she found him sitting at the kitchen table, staring into his cup of hot cocoa, wiping away a tear. "What's wrong, honey?" she asked. He looked up and said quietly, "Today marks 20 years since we met." Her heart melted. "And do you remember when we started dating?" "You were 15. I was 18. She nodded, already tearing up. "And do you remember when your dad caught us in the backseat of my car?" She nodded again. "And how he shoved that shotgun in my face and said, 'You marry her, or you're going to prison for 20 years. She laughed through her tears. "Of course I remember." He took a deep breath, looked at the clock, and said, "I would have gotten out today." Nanga. The teacher writes on the board, "I ain't had no fun in months." Then turns to the class and asks, "How do I fix this sentence?" Little Johnny shoots his hand up, waving eagerly. "Yes, Johnny?" The teacher sighs, already bracing for chaos. Johnny stands up and says loudly, "Maybe you should try taking a shower, putting on some lipstick, and texting Mr. Smith from the gym." The class goes silent, then bursts into laughter. The teacher just stares, eyes wide, wondering how fast summer break can come. Paunch. I installed an electric fence in my backyard to stop burglars. Not a little zapper either. I bought the most powerful cattle charger money can buy. It's designed to contain a herd of demon bulls on a mountain. I felt invincible. Fast forward to the day I forgot to unplug it. There I was, mowing my lawn in 100-degree heat, and I saw the wire loose in the grass. Thinking it was off, I reached down. And that's when my body got hijacked by the ghost of Nikola Tesla and Satan's pit crew. My unmentionables tried to climb up my torso, my ears folded themselves, my eyes got out of sync. And my internal organs? Let's just say science is wrong. You can vomit, pee, and poop simultaneously, and then, oh yes, then came the seizures. I passed out in a puddle of my own biohazards and woke up hours later with one eye open and the other closed. Forever? Who knows? A suntan I didn't want, my lawnmower purring like a NASCAR engine, and the ability to turn my TV on. With a fart. Moral of the story? Triple check the fence or your burglar defense system will turn on you and give you a ride straight to Jesus. Ara. Susie worked at a place she didn't want her sweet old gran to know about. One day, the police raided the building and lined everyone up outside. Just then, Susie spotted her gran walking by. Thinking fast, she whispered, "Gran, it's a queue for free oranges." Never one to pass up a deal, Gran happily joined the line. When the officer got to her, he blinked in disbelief and said, "Wow, ma'am, how do you manage this at your age?" Gran smiled proudly and replied, "Oh, easy, dear. I just take my teeth out, peel back the skin, and suck 'em dry." 7. During a good manners and etiquette class being held for young children, the teacher says to her students, "If you were courting a well-educated young girl from a prominent family and during a dinner for two you needed to go to the toilet, what would you say to her?" Mike replies, "Wait a minute. I'm going for a piss." The teacher says, "That would be very rude and improper on your part." Charlie replies, "I'm sorry, I need to go to the toilet. I'll be back in a minute." The teacher says, "That's much better, but to mention the word toilet during a meal is unpleasant." And little Johnny says, "My dear, please excuse me for a moment. I have to go shake hands with a personal friend whom I hope to be able to introduce to you after dinner." Yet, a man comes home early from work while his wife was having an affair up in her room. She hears him come in the house, so she hides her lover in the closet. The guy hears a voice. "Sure is dark in here," says little Johnny. "Yup," says the guy. "This sure is a nice baseball," the kid says. "Sure, kid," the guy says. "I'll sell it to you for $50, the kid says. "You're crazy," the man replies. "My dad is right outside," the kid says. "Okay, I'll buy it." A few days later, the same thing happens. The husband comes home. The wife throws Sancho into the closet. "Sure is dark in here," the kid says. "Yup," says the guy. "This sure is a nice baseball glove I've got here," the kid says. "How much?" the guy asks. $100, says the kid. Deal. That weekend. The father tells his son to grab his glove so they could play catch. The kid tells his dad that he sold the glove and the ball for $150. The father is disappointed with his son for ripping someone off, so he takes the kid to the confessional. The kid goes in, closes the door, and says, "Sure is dark in here." "Don't start that in," says the priest.